Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Department comments, we'll start with, is it Barry or Virgil today? Barry?
This one's gonna be tabled, one table from last week. Demolition we did back some time ago. The owner's having some issues with the cost of the demolition.
Yeah.
Oh,
Can I've been Virgil on that property, Mr. President.
yes, sir.
I know those persons and they've reached out. My concern is I don't know what was put on what was verbalized versus what was put on paper. I think there's been some kind of confusion as to the cost of the demolition.
Right.
And have you all conferred together?
Yes.
Is this the one where they came in and complained that the cost had doubled from what they were told?
Right.
One was 9, one was 5.
Okay.
Right.
Well, technically, we don't tell owners how much it's gonna cost, cause we don't know. We don't know from one property to the next. All we can do is give them a ballpark or a roundabout guess about what it might cost. We always tell them that the cost is dependent on the number of loads, what all's in the house, asbestos, that sort of thing. So we never give them a hard price on any of these houses.
Is this in any way out of line with similar structure and
No,
size
sir, not with
material?
all the contents that's on that property. There's tons of concrete on it, there's tons of accessory buildings, plus all those buildings were full of material.
Well, Mr. Wilson, what are they considering trying to do it themselves?
Yes, sir. From my understanding, they were initially trying to see if the cost of the demolition would have been less expensive for them to have the city to do it than them to do it. And I think some of the personnel a part of that congregation, I think one of the persons is a licensed contractor. And that's, I think, where the number of hours and concern of the total price should have taken.
Well, the congregation member is actually a concrete contractor.
Yeah.
And he has the equipment to tear it down, he just didn't have the time to do it.
Uh-huh.
That would meet our time frame.
Gotcha.
Because what they were initially intended to do was tear it down themselves, but
Mm-hmm.
they were running out of time because we needed to get that in front of y'all because it'd been sitting there for so long. We worked with them on the time to give them an opportunity to go in there and tear it down themselves to save them this money, but the time that they needed was not gonna coincide with what we needed to do for y'all.
So basically, this was a time issue, and even if it had come to us, we could have actually tabled it prior to then, and to give them more time, that would save them perhaps $9,795.53.
It's possible, but you know, at the end of the day, y'all would have still wound up having to condemn it
Yeah.
and give them the opportunity to tear it down within that time frame. Otherwise, the house may still be standing.
How much time do they want?
I mean, I don't know. I'm just kind of actually calculating this within my head of the differences of the needs, basically.
You know, if they could have come in and pulled the demolition permit and started tearing it down, we could have possibly worked with them and kept it off the council's agenda and just let them work at it as they went. But it sat there for, you know, several weeks. I can't say that it sat there for months,
Right.
but it sat there for a long period of time with nothing going on. We were getting complaints on the property, so we had to move on it.
We move on blight.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
we move and, cause, well, y'all were generous enough to more than double our code enforcement staff last year. Barry and Virgil do a fantastic job. I know I personally feel for their situation, but at the same time, that's a situation those neighbors have to endure too.
So, what
What
can we expect tonight, I guess, because I'm sure that they'll,
Well,
I'm sure
they're gonna more than likely argue the fact that we proposed a $4,000 amount And what we actually told the owner is that the price would start at $4,000, but there's no way we could pinpoint an actual dollar amount because we don't know how much contents is in there, don't know how many loads it's gonna be.
Gotcha.
Don't know any of the details is regarding the actual, cost of the demolition. We know about where it's gonna start, but we don't know where it's gonna end.
But that was just an estimate, a good faith
If I can say
estimate,
this
right?
too,
Sir?
A good faith estimate.
Yes, sir.
if I can say this.
Sure.
I've been on the council in some form or fashion for 21 years. This is the first time I've ever had a situation where somebody said, you gave us a quote that gave this price and it ended up being that price. It's probably a misunderstanding.
That's what I'm
on. Barry and Virgil, professionals, they're going to outline what it is and allow people to make their own decision of whether they want to use a private contractor or they
Exactly.
want to move forward with city forces. I think the decision now really rests with them. Do they want the city to do it or are they going to do it?
I had not heard that ever myself, and you know how long I've been here.
Yeah.
I was curious as to how that even came about, because we don't
Well,
tell people how much it's
They
going.
initially come out with, we've got an estimate of about $5,000 to tear it down. How much can the city do for it? Do the demolition? What would our cost be? I said, well, the house is gonna start at $4,000. That doesn't include all the concrete, all the accessory buildings, the contents.
So are you,
You're talking, 50 loads of debris hauled off that one site.
So they, probably what they didn't hear, that it would start at 4,000, they just heard
Pretty much.
4,000.
so, I spoke to you this morning and I spoke to Ms. Washington again this morning also. And, I guess my question is that if anybody else would have done this, like another professional services, it would have been around the same amount, do you think, maybe?
Don't have.
Don't know, well, that doesn't matter, but I know this, when I spoke to her both times, I didn't know anything about the actual structures, and this has already been demolished, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I didn't know anything about the actual structures, and then like the way you explained it to me, all of the concrete that was around the building, that cost more time and effort to break that up. So, I trust your estimate, I trust what you said this is, I have no problems with that. I just wanted to know, and I sent you an email and I haven't had a chance to follow up after that, but I just wanted to know, to help them out with the hardship, how much time do they have to pay this back? Like, is there a time frame or a deadline?
That's gonna be OCA's call there, it's not ours.
But we put a lien on the
Put a
property,
lien
right?
on it,
They
so
can't do
just
anything
put a
with
lien
the
on it.
property to pay it, right?
Right?
Yeah, well, I can discuss that with Jimbo. It's not a situation that, like the Mayor said, it has come up before. But we'll typically do a promissory note with people. What we don't want to have is, we don't want to foreclose on a piece of property with a lien amount that's $10,000. If the piece of property is $2,000, we're never going to get it out from under it.
Right.
So,
That's right.
So I think
Okay.
if we can work something out with them, I think that'd be the best thing, don't y'all?
Mhm.
Don't you?
I do, and Miss Washington won't be here tonight, but she's sending some representatives, and so she trusts whatever decision we all
But
make.
it's already been torn down.
It's
It's
gone,
pretty
it's
obvious.
gone.
Setting the cost, which you really have to, you have to do. And speaking briefly with the delegation the other night, they were gonna look to either raise money or find some organization maybe to help them deal with the cost of the demolition.
So they just needed some time. That's why I
How
was
long
asking.
how long has the whole process been for them, Barry? How long have they had? How long have they had?
How long have they had so far?
Yeah.
It's only been down a couple of months.
Okay.
When were they contacted? Like shortly after it was demolished, like
They
maybe?
were sent notification that the building had been demolished, and I believe they got sent the cost of the actual demolition shortly after that.
Okay,
Now, the dates, I can't quote that to you.
okay.
when did this go into condemnation?
When did it go into condemnation? Yeah, you know.
Oh, I can't remember.
Can,
But it sat there for a couple of months prior to us bringing it home. Because of we were giving them time to get their estimates and things like that. And the difference between the city and outside estimates is twofold. One is, we don't have somebody who can go out there and just give an estimate. We do it by load and time only. Other, outside entities, a lot of times do not use the city dump. They'll find somebody that'll allow them to fill a hole up, so they're saving money there so they can downgrade their cost. So that's the reason why sometimes the cost difference is there. And then also outside entities do not, have to, well, let me rephrase this. They do not always, adhere to ADM's requirements for asbestos removal.
Exactly.
As the city does, we have to have it removed prior to tearing it down. So that's an extenuating cost on some houses. Don't know if this one has it or not.
And I appreciate all of that, you know, removing the hazardous material in a certain way and making sure that, first of all, you're eliminating blight. So, I mean, I wanna work this out, but we needed that to be demolished and torn down, and it was. But I didn't know any of the details until we talked about everything else that was on the property. It wasn't just a small house, it's a lot of concrete, it's other structures, ain't no telling what was in the storage places on the structure.
Yeah.
So that was a lot. So I do understand. I think they just probably, it seems like to me they're stressing about meeting a deadline, a financial deadline.
Yes,
And
ma'am.
they can't meet right
The financial deadline and the amount.
now.
Scott, will you have something for us tonight?
Yes, sir. I'll get with Jimbo and I'll figure out what our usual parameters are for our promissory notes.
Okay. That works for everybody? Okay, is that all you
That's
have?
all we got tonight.
Okay, Barry, thank you and Virgil both. Y'all have a very tough job when nobody likes to see you coming.
The neighbors do.
The neighbors do, yes.
You know,
All right, Mr. Foy.
All right, this is what we tabled last week. This is the Pier 43 Marina proposal. I have added some slides at the end to clarify some stuff. This is what it looks like now. And this is the additions. They're adding some transient docks. They're going to add a staff-only boat ramp to put boats in and out of dry storage. They're covering some floating walkways. They're going to put floating walkways over concrete walkways that flood now. Some boat rental return docks, and then the stuff we've had questions about is 9 additional rental slips.
Are they down on that left side in the red? Is that what they are?
That's what they're gonna add the, yes, sir, and the 73210, that's the next door neighbor's dock. That's where I had him take off a boat slip to give him room between his dock and the starting of their dock. So we cut, it's gonna be like an 18-foot gap there. So we cut one wet slip off. But other than that, in council, we had, some questions about safety Ms. Howard had and stuff. This is the slough coming in. The red circles are no weight, idle speed only buoys coming into the marina. And then the yellow is where we measured the distance. There's 472 foot from the first no weight, idle speed only buoys to the beginning of the marina. So it's no wake is below 5 miles an hour. So you can't get any safer than that on putting buoys out. There's actually 7 buoys in that whole slough. I got more buoys in that slough for no weight, idle speed only, than the other slough on the lake.
Do they live in that house right there?
The lady that was there last week, Miss Brown, I think was her name, is the 14236. And we shot the distance with the laser going to her pier. She's 265 foot inside the no wake zone. So that's 88% of a football field, might as well say. So if there's people speeding by her dock, it's not because it's against the law. They're not supposed to be. You're not supposed to be within 75 foot of a dock going over 5 miles an hour speed anyhow.
Right.
That's the city code.
Thank y'all. Thank you for tabling for a week till we get, but thank y'all for going out and doing that extra work.
For everything you did, I'm gonna ask that we table this one more week because Dale Phillips can't be here tonight. He asked me, would we table it? And I said, I believe we will. I don't think there'll be a problem.
One more question.
One way.
Where is this county road?
I'm not familiar with him. I'm guessing that's the road.
That's
that's
not our
right
problem.
there.
I mean, it's not, but I mean, if he's up here again, holler about it. I'd like
It's
to
that
know.
viewpoint road right there.
Yeah, the viewpoint road, the one with the
See it?
curve right there. I don't know why people be going around that loop all the way around anyhow.
I have
Unless they're lost.
I've gotten a phone call back from Commissioner Acker about this, but I have not been able to talk to him about the viewpoint road. 'Cause
Right.
he was gonna call up there and a couple of things that were said about him being involved in whatever, I don't know. I mean, I just asked him to get facts and call me back, so that's a county road that's up there, so I don't know what's going on with that. I'm gonna find out, though, I'll let y'all know.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, James, for everything.
Alrighty. Mr. Mills. Yeah, yeah.
All right, good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Yeah.
We have 7 applications today. The first one is a public hearing. It's for Well Shop and Go, located at 1507 Crescent Ridge Road Northeast. They're applying for a retail beer off premises and retail table wine off premises. All right,
A change of ownership or new?
it's a change of ownership.
Is that has it got a name?
It's not
It's
the
a-
Lucky Dollar,
No, it's not something from Lucky Dollar.
is it?
Is it next to it?
It's a little farther down from Lucky Dollar.
Okay, it's going toward the Dollar General way?
Yes, sir.
That way? Okay.
All right, the next application I have is for Levy Premium Food Service. They're applying for a game day on September 2nd on Paul W. Bryant Drive Lawn. They're applying for a special retail less than 7 days. Actually, the next 2 will be September 2nd and September 9th.
What's going on those days?
I think it's a football game.
About 100,
Think you might be-
200,000 of our closest friends be in town.
And is that in the stadium?
No, sir, it's on the outside on Champions Lane. They would do like a beer garden.
Is it open to the public or is it
Yeah,
just
it's open to the public, yes, sir.
a beer garden?
Tiger Woods will have a beer garden.
That's new.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
A beer garden on the lawn in front of the stadium
Yes, sir.
between there and University Boulevard.
Yes, sir. On Walking Champions Way.
They're gonna bring flowers and all that stuff.
I don't know about all that.
Well, how many, do they have
They're gonna do.
I'm gonna recommend we set up the mobile showers there too, so it's have a big, is there a number of people that
Shelby
go in the beer garden?
No, sir.
Yeah,
Moving from Shelby
I'm
Park.
surprised he didn't part with them. Yeah.
I mean, they're gonna carry
Are
that
they
beer
like
everywhere
setting
they
up a
go.
tent and restricting access or what?
You know what? I got to get more details on how they're gonna have the perimeter set up, but they're applying just to set up on the outskirts of it. I think we're maybe on that right side of the property. Did you see?
They're gonna be here tonight.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Levy is a very respected.
Yeah, they handle a lot of alcohol out there.
The levy.
Yes, sir. They got the one at Bryant inside the stadium, Coliseum, and baseball right now.
I'm sorry.
Chief, do you know anything about this?
No, sir. I think there's a concern, there's just not enough alcohol on game days.
Yeah.
People are looking to fill in the gap.
Plus, they
So
can
let's
barely,
do a
they can
beer
barely
garden.
break even as it is. They have to get some margin.
Kind of has a little German flair to it, you know.
Okay.
We can make it, September and October and November Fest.
That's in the works for next year.
University can come
October.
in.
Somebody duct tape him down there.
All right, my next 2 applicants is for Sigma Phi Epsilon. By Starner Enterprises for Sigma Phi Epsilon for the Texas Tailgate and for Ole Miss Tailgate, located at 304 University Boulevard. They're applying for a special retail less than 7 days application. All right, and then my last 2 by Party Down LLC for Culver House Texas Tailgate and for the Culver House LSU Tailgate at 380 Stadium Drive.
Where's Culver House?
Yes, sir. Business school and
So they're gonna have alcohol there too?
on the outside, yes, sir. for that
You could
tailgate.
get thirsty between there and the stadium.
I had the Culver House
So
and granddaughter on my talent
applications
search
for you?
Saturday night.
Outside of Culver House.
I do think we had this discussion this morning with the university in our quarterly meeting. It's going to be, this fall will probably be the busiest fall in the history of this city. Certainly the home schedule is amazing. Texas is going to be of legendary status just
Yeah.
because of the name recognition, and I suspect the 2011 or 2019 LSU games will look small compared to what we will see on September 9th with Texas, and really leading up that entire week. We're going to have some extremely exhausted firefighters, police officers, city employees, hundreds of city employees who will be working extra duties during that week to make certain all of our visitors have a really good time, and we keep the rest of the city operational and safe. So just hang on. It's going to be quite the ride.
I just hope they'll come through, most of them come through Alberta going to the game.
That's right. Come through.
That's what I've been telling you, to stop and eat, get your gas
That's not
there,
exactly.
I
get
know
your beer,
Texas.
Piggly Wiggly.
And I know it is, on some levels, especially for us that live here, it does have its inconveniences, but there are a lot of people who pay their mortgages, pay their car payments, save for their children's future because of what those game days bring in.
Absolutely.
And so I know they certainly put a lot of pressure on us and the university, but it is good for our community.
Yes, sir.
Do we,
Roll.
do we see or get law enforcement augmentation on a surge weekend like that? For either from small communities surrounding
I would
the
probably,
state?
I would recommend that if we did discuss that, we do it in executive session just because of the homeland security implications. But we would be more than happy to discuss that with you.
Well, I know somebody did, because I used to see small community police officers positioned down University Boulevard maintaining traffic. So maybe that was the university.
Right.
That's the last one.
Thank you. Thanks, Tony. Mayor Maddox.
Just real quick, enjoyed my time. We did have the star of the show, so we didn't have a big turnout last Thursday at Skyland, but a good turnout and a lot of actually just a lot of problem solving. I really enjoyed it. You were well spoke of and very missed at the
So Nisha was there then.
Wow, that's how rumors get started, Mr. Tyner.
That's great.
And then our last in the series will be Thursday, September 7th at Catch a Taste. It is though, and you've heard me speak about this informally, on Tuesdays we deal with a lot of the minutia of city government and a lot of the huge overarching issues of city government. When you go to these town hall settings, as you see at your own town hall meetings, it's about storm drainage, it's about paving, it's about public safety, it's about road projects, et cetera. One of the things, Mr. Lanier, I do want to point out is that there are already questions coming up regarding Highway 69 South in terms of the construction project. The city is moving its utilities now. I just want to emphasize that is an ALDOT managed project.
I think
Again,
that's
an
Mr.
ALDOT managed project, and ALDOT has assured the city they have a communications plan. They are going to respond to citizens and businesses' requests. But again, that is an ALDOT managed project, and we will certainly be putting out the information on that, because that project, a lot like what you see with McWright's Ferry Road and Jack Warner Parkway, it's going to be a tough project. And so we just want to make certain that the constituents, in all seriousness, have questions, they can get them answered.
Right.
So there was a lot of questions regarding that at your town hall meeting. Other than that, look out closing out strong in your district, and the mayor of Alberta has invited me into his jurisdiction, and
Yes,
I
sir.
look forward to being there.
Absolutely. We're gonna roll out the red carpet for you.
That's all I have.
You know, I want people misunderstand, like Highway 216. I got a group of folks upset because there's been a lot of tickets written, speeding tickets. And, but it's by state troopers. So, and they were blasting our police and everything. And I
For
said,
enforcing the law. They
I
were
said, first of all, did you say Alabama state troopers? Oh, yeah. And I said, and plus that's the state highway, that's state troopers. That's not the city or our police department. And the response was, oh, thank you, I didn't know.
We're here to serve and provide information. And also too, I left out, again, anyone that's interested in supporting our schools with donations for school supplies, please do so, especially if you have an outstanding parking ticket. You can pay off that parking ticket by donating the school supplies. And for more information, you can go Tuscaloosa.com or call Tuscaloosa 311. And again, Mr. Lanier, 311 probably got the most raved and highest reviews. So please let Ms. McBride know Dr. Rush is.
How many, what's the deadline on this? You know, is it the end of August, last day of August?
I want to say the end of August. I'm glad you said that because I didn't write down notes, and that's always tricky. I sent y'all an email this morning, but we have a new municipal court administrator, Jessica Junkin. Is Jessica here? Did she sneak in on me? There she is.
Hey.
Let's give her a round of I told Jessica to be here pre-council, and then I almost left out the big announcement myself. I really, and I know that Mr. Fell, we appreciate you being part of the interview committee.
She aced the audition for the interview.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly. She is a determined, hardworking leader in our city, and I think she's going to do a fantastic job. She has earned this position with hard work and dedication. I'm very proud of you. I look forward to working.
Thank you, I'm excited.
Wonderful, congratulations.
Don't fix Cassius's part.
I got school supplies.
Okay, any other department comments or announcements? Anybody here in the room? Okay, Mr. Holmes, you're up, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good afternoon, council.
Good afternoon.
I did get an answer to the question regarding the setting of the price on that demolition. Typically, we have promissory notes that are to be paid within a year. We have, on rare circumstances, taken that out to 2 years. If council approves the setting of the cost and the filing of the lien, OCA will handle that negotiation with property owner. I think we've gotten loud and clear that council would probably like us to be as flexible as possible when we do that.
Thank you, Scott.
Yes, sir. I am up on the top of page 3, where on page 21 and 22 you'll be authorizing an application to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development for the 2023 Grant Assistance for the Homeless Management Information System. This came to CD committee on the 15th. On page 23, you'll be authorizing the Chief Information Officer to execute an express and certification statement form from the United States Department of Homeland Security. This comes from IT. On page 24, you'll be authorizing a sale and appointing an agent. This is our annual foreclosure sale. This comes from my office. On page 25, you'll be authorizing the approval of the airport rent abatement and hangar development policy. This came to projects on the 15th. On page 26, you'll be authorizing the submission of the final grant application with ALDOT for the runway 1230 crack seal and seal coat project. This also came to projects on the 15th. On page 27, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a work authorization for Atkins North America to provide design and bid phase and construction phase services for the runway 1230 crack seal and seal coat project. This is a total not to exceed $99,971.31, and again came to projects on the 15th. On page 28, you'll be authorizing the Chief Information Officer to execute an agreement for professional services with Secure IT 360. This is a total of $11,167. On page 29, you'll be authorizing the mayor to execute a renewal of the license agreement from the Department of the Army for the Riverwalk River Market site. This came from projects on the 8th. And finally, for me, on page 30 and 31, you'll be amending Chapter 16, Article 3, Division 4 of the Code of Tuscaloosa. We do have at least one item for executive session, potentially a second if you'd like to discuss the game day security procedures as well.
Okay,
Any questions for me?
any questions for Mr. Holmes? Thank you, sir. Okay, we got projects 2:30, finance 3:15, public safety at 4, of course, council at 6. Road Improvement Commission will meet, is that Monday, 7:30? And then, of course, our budget hearings continue with Public Works a week from today at 8. And also, I'm gonna have Vicki send everybody, and Stacy, you, the mayor, please, everybody try to be at SWJ Technologies in Alberta on September 14th at 5 o'clock. There's gonna be a major announcement.
I guess I was there too early. I went.
Yeah. Oh, you went today?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Well, I appreciate you thinking of it. September.
You went today at 5 a.m.?
Oh, listen, I got there real early, man. The people say, no one was there when I got there. I don't know how I messed it up.
September 14th,
Yeah.
At what time?
5
Okay.
AM?
No,
PM.
PM. Honey, I wouldn't be there.
September 14th, you said 14th?
September 14th.
Okay.
Vicki, I'll get some information. You can send that out, and I'll make sure Stacy gets you there, Mayor, because Wolfgang, both senators have been invited. The governor has said she can't be there, but I think Senator Britt has said she will. But anyway, Wolfgang seemed more excited about really wanting all the council and, of course, the mayor to be there. So this is huge news that you'll hear from coming out of Tuscaloosa, Alabama, that can change the face of cars and how we crank them in the future. So yeah, they're gonna get the whole thing in your head. They're going back to the basics. So, but he really means a lot for him. So I hope you all can make sure you come by. It's from 5 to 7, but the announcement will be right at 5:30, and then there'll be refreshments, and you can tour the facilities and
Will there be a beer garden?
there will not, that I'm aware of. There will be at Tiger Woods facility. He's got a big beer garden. That's a big part of the Pop Stroke. And I think I told y'all their marketing people will be here in a couple of weeks, and they are definitely looking at probably the week before Thanksgiving for their official ribbon cutting. And I'll make sure everybody knows all the details on that too, because as of last Thursday, the man is still supposed to be here for the ribbon cutting. And I think everybody wants to touch Tiger.
Instead of doing the shovel thing, we're gonna
This will be cutting the ribbon. Yeah, they're moving fast too, really fast. Starting to take shape. All right, is there a motion we go into executive session? Second. All right, Mr. Holmes.
Yes, sir. As your city attorney and attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Alabama, I can certify that this executive session is to discuss preliminary negotiations involving matters of trade or commerce in which the governmental body is in competition with private individuals or entities or other governmental bodies in Alabama or in other states or foreign nations, the discussions of which would have a detrimental effect upon the competitive position of a party to the negotiations, and to discuss security plans, procedures, assessments, measures, or systems, or the security or safety of persons, structures, facilities, or other infrastructures, the public disclosure of which could reasonably be expected to be detrimental to public safety or welfare.
Okay, we have a motion second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?